Sim racing can help you keep your driving skills sharp, especially in the rainy off-season. For karting specifically, some games are better than others, so let's talk through the options. The first game to consider is Kart Kraft. It's really well presented, and the karts feel good to drive. There aren't that many tracks, but it has some good ones like PFI and AMP. Here's a time trial on PFI. By default, you race the ghost of the next player ahead of you, and you can try to learn their lines and braking points. When you win, it feels good. Suck it, Firetime 444. And then you get a new challenger. And here's my next lap against Noel. I noticed he overdrives most of the corners, so I passed him pretty easily. You can also do AI races, which can help you get comfortable driving in a crowd and develop your racecraft. It definitely tests your reaction time and can be more fun than just doing practice laps. Unfortunately, they never really finished the multiplayer mode, and the online practice sessions are no longer available. The main problem with this game is the load screen, or rather, the name of the company you see at the load screen. Motorsport Games is near bankruptcy, and their stock has dropped more than 99%, so it may not even be around by the time you watch this. If they were still developing this game, it would be my #1 recommendation. However, because of the lack of support, it's hard to recommend in the kind of frozen state it is. If you want to try it, buy it on Steam so you can still refund it within 14 days as long as you've played less than 2 hours. Next up is Kart Racing Pro. It's very obvious that this was built first and foremost as a training sim with very little effort spent on the game. If you grew up on Windows 95, you'd feel right at home. If you start a practice session, you're just kind of dropped in the middle of the paddock, and I guess you just start driving. I hope this track goes clockwise. Overall, the physics feel pretty good, and the karts are fun to drive, so they got the important parts correct. It comes with a handful of real tracks like Lanado and Genk, but there's also a lot of community-made tracks that you can download for free on the forums. There is an online multiplayer mode, but there's relatively few people playing it at any given time. Also, the forums are a bit bare, with lots of spam posts and relatively little chatter. Overall, I'd recommend this as the best pure kart sim available, but it is a bit lacking as a game. There's no goals to achieve when you play. The best game experience is the F1 series. There's a proper career mode, weekly challenges, multiplayer lobbies, and everything else you'd expect from a full-fledged game. The car drives fast and loose like a kart, and all the concepts like threshold braking, trail braking, throttle control, racing line, they all apply. Here I jump into a race at the Red Bull Ring, and I got lucky with it being a rain race. Again, there's a lot of parallels with wet driving and karting, where you have to get used to limited grip, limited visibility, and how to modulate the throttle without spinning out. Also, who doesn't want to pretend to chase down Max Verstappen? Here's a bit later in the race when I go for the pass on the two Ferraris. Sainz covers off the inside, so I have to go the long way around.
0.7 seconds.
Eventually I do work my way up to Max, but needed one more lap to pass him. If you're a fan of F1, you can't miss this game. And compared to the kart-specific sims, it's a lot easier to play for hours because of all the content. Somewhere in the middle is Automobilista 2. The emphasis is on the cars, but they do have karts as well as Formula-style cars. There's no career mode, but you've got time trials, AI races, and multiplayer lobbies. There are also quite a few community-organized leagues if you search online. I really like this made-up track they have in the game. It's called Buskerud because I love elevation change. Honestly, the AI, at least for kart races, is pretty terrible, but it's still fun to race. Really, the best part about this game is you could buy a Steam key for $5 or $10, and for that price, it's a must-buy. The best racing experience, by far, is iRacing. This is a pure sim with an emphasis on driving physics, and everything is oriented towards online racing. You can take your pick of racing series, but for karting, you're probably going to look at the open-wheel road races. In the Rookie series, for example, you can race Formula V, and today at the 3:45 p.m. race, there's already 73 people signed up and another 100 or so doing open practice. There's races every hour, and that's a pretty typical showing. Each week you race a new track, so you split your time racing this week's track and practicing the next one. Here's what a race looks like. Because safety rating is also tracked, you have to practice driving close but clean. Since you're racing real people, this is by far the best game for practicing racecraft. Lap 1, turn 1 is always a risk, just like karting.
Car right. Stay on the left. You're on the left. 3 wide. Car right. 2 wide. Keep to the left. Still there.
The physics are really good and give you the best feeling of what the front end is doing.
Car right.
So when you connect everything through a corner, it feels really amazing.
Stay on the left. Clear on the right.
The main drawback is the price. First, you have to pay an annual membership fee of around $100, though there's sometimes discounts like on Black Friday. And then every extra car or track you buy costs money. Honestly, you can get by with just the free cars, but to race a full series, you will need to buy about half the tracks. So you can expect to spend about $50 to $100 a year on top of the membership, which makes it the most expensive game here by far. That said, it's not much more than the cost of a few practice days in karting, and for that price you get a whole year of racing. If you're okay with the cost, this is the game to get. Overall, none of these games can replicate the physical sensations of driving a kart. The kart sims are fun to mess around in, but I think the car sims are just as good at teaching you racecraft and the basic techniques like braking and throttle control. So I'd recommend picking the game that appeals the most to you. If you're an F1 fan, get the F1 game. If you're the competitive type, that's definitely iRacing. And if you do just want to drive karts in a video game, I'd start with Automobilista 2 because it's such a good value. And then go to Kart Racing Pro if you want to do practice laps on real tracks. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want to know about the games, what hardware to buy, or sim racing in general. I hope you found this video useful, and happy sim racing.